But let's talk about a tale of two politicians who have both been accused of doing very bad things. One Mexican and one American. Let's start in Mexico in our continuing coverage of Mexico Votes 2021. Let's talk about Felix Salgado Macedonio. If you're thinking that he may be the father of Greeks or even the king of North Macedonia, he is not. But he was or is or may be the nominee for governor of the Mexican state of Guerrero, depending on how confident you are in Mexico's democratic institutions. He was accused of rape twice, which when his candidacy was announced, caused an uproar from women, including in his own party. The president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, dismissed the accusation as smear campaign by his opposition, which he often does when faced with controversy. Amidst the backlash, his party board ratified his nomination, and it looked like he was on his way to becoming the next governor of the state, which gives you the best pozole in the country. Sorry, Jalisco, then the red one. Anyway, you have your tortas ahogadas and your tequila, so stick with that and let Guerrero have their white pozole, no? But there was another roadblock to his nomination. The Instituto Nacional Electoral, or the INE, the National Election Institute, ruled this week that he was ineligible to run in the election because he didn't fill out the necessary expense forms during his pre-candidacy, about 12,000 pesos. I can imagine what those 12,000 pesos were from. Maybe a very long Uber ride, maybe a campaign carne asada with 100 extra tortillas and 16 whips. That was on the expense, 16 whips. Why would he want to buy whips? I don't know. Many people believe that the INE is a world-class institution that has protected democracy in recent years. But others, including the president and many members of the ruling party, have chastised the INE for being politically motivated and the opposition and elitists. The Salgado and Macedonio case is just one example of this.
No es exagerado lo que dije, es un atentado a la democracia.
There has been accusations that the president is trying to dismantle the INE, while others are saying by doing this, he is trying to dismantle democracy and bring authoritarian rule. So now let's take a look at this a little bit deeper, and live TV, guys. Maru. So let's take a look at this from a U.S. perspective. The Federal Election Commission, the body that oversees different areas of federal elections, has some oversight specifically for campaign finance and registration, but voting access and rules are decided by the individual states. For example, in Indiana, you can only be in the voting booth for 3 minutes, while Kentucky has banned idiots from voting. Actually, Kentucky has a law that says idiots cannot vote, whatever defining as an idiot. And Tennessee has a ban on running for office if you have ever challenged someone to a duel. Have you ever challenged someone to a duel? Edgar, have you ever challenged someone to a duel? No. I have never challenged someone to a duel, and I'm pausing here as Mauro is something's wrong with the teleprompter, guys. All right. Because of this, the Georgia Republican-led state legislature voted to restrict voting with rules such as when and how people can vote, as well as banning giving out water to people online. This action occurred after a surge of Black and other minority voters went to the polls and elected Joe Biden and sent 2 Democratic senators to Washington. Opponents accuse Republicans of trying to suppress the vote, while many Georgia-based companies such as Coca-Cola and Delta denounced the new laws. Major League Baseball moved the All-Star game from Atlanta to Denver, and Will Smith moved the movie production out of the state. So it looks like Not As Fresh, Senior Prince of Atlanta, will be canceled. There is no federal election registration or card in the U.S., while Mexicans are required to have an INE if they exercise their right to vote or get into nightclubs, something more important to the millennials. The U.S. has debated instituting a federal identification. It could be useful for other things like gun registration and healthcare, but many libertarians and those on the right have objected to this, citing that their rights and privacy would be taken away. I got 1,000 guns, but I don't want no one to know about that or about me except maybe the Chinese government instead, because I got 1 million TikTok followers. Bang, bang, bang. I'm cool. Before you say the US should have a national system like Mexico, what if, and I'm just saying, what if this independent national election board were full of Trumpers like other institutions? How would have the board reacted to Trump's false accusations of voter fraud? Some of the state elections boards were run by the opposition party, and there were Republican heroes in Georgia that did the right thing. It could be said that this fragmentation of the electoral system could have protected democracy. So think about this. No matter how independent people at the INE say they are, and it's an independent institution, is there individual bias? Not saying there is, but it's a fair question that's being debated right in Mexico right now. So let's go back to the Salgado Macedonio case. He has vowed to fight on and will take the case to the Electoral Tribunal of the federal judiciary, which in recent cases has shown deferences to the ruling party. So this isn't over yet. Also, is anybody investigating the rape allegations? These poor women are like, hey, what about me? What about my case? And before anyone says, esto solo pasó en Mexico, it doesn't. The US has its own situation with a politician accused of sex offenses, except this one involves a minor with accusations that Congressman Matt Gaetz paid for a 17-year-old girl to travel with him across state lines and inducing her to have sex.
Investigators are trying to determine if the escorts were illegally trafficked across state or international lines for the purpose of sex with the congressman.
And of course, he represents a district in Florida, right? This all happens in Florida. Also, he hosted sex orgies with drugs, paying women indirectly through the Venmo app. Things are so bad for Matt Gaetz. He was like BFF with Trump before all of this, and now Trump won't even be his friend. So I'm just asking, which politician looks more sleazy, Salgado Macedonio or Gaetz? And sometimes you just can't judge a book by its cover. I'm just saying.